That really cuts off quickly, doesn't it? All right. How you doing, everybody? It's the Tuesday before the holidays start. And once the holidays start, they don't stop. They just start coming and coming. In the United States, uh, this place, we have Thanksgiving next week, which means we'll be. I'll be here. I'll probably do a stream next week because things will be kind of dead. So it'll give me a chance to do some streaming, and hopefully get some more videos. I still want to do this dang normal lens video. I ended up wanting to rewrite the script because I felt it was too math heavy. It didn't need to be math heavy. That was what's annoying about it. I see Matt Buckmaster is online. DJ Raymark is saying yo. Jonathan Rick Natal is saying, hey guys. MK257 is saying, how you doing, John? I'm not doing well. I'm not doing bad this week. I feel better this week. I feel more, let's say, put it this way. I feel I have a better outlook on life this week than I have in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. It's been a tough few months, honestly. Partly of that is my office is at least heading in the proper direction as far as the cleanliness of it. It is in the trajectory of no longer a FEMA declared disaster area, although it's still kind of a disaster area. But like I got a maid to come in and try to clean up my bathroom a little bit because it was in pretty bad shape. I got my 3D printer, I think, up and running, and hopefully that thing's still kind of going. Looks like we're pumping away here. I would show you what it looks like, but I don't know if I can right now. But anyways, I'm actually right across the away from it. Yeah, so I don't have a lot of topics to talk about today. Honestly, I'm other than just the fact that I'm trying to get my act put together again. You know, I'll be pretty frank. Let's be frank and honest here. Let's be really frank and honest here. So, I mean, I feel like my life has been overwhelmed with things, and there's a couple projects I fell way behind in, a couple projects I'm still need to be jumping upon and get some work done here. But part of the problem is I haven't been able to produce anything for Filmmaker IQ for a while because it's just been too crazy for me. And I don't mean to, and I blame myself a lot for that because I used to, well, back in the old days, I used to like spend an inordinate amount of time, like after in the middle of the night working on Filmmaker IQ stuff. I mean, it's insane. Now I feel like I don't have the energy so much. I mean, again, part of it is my I do take care of my mother who can't walk. So it is like, that's like the big thing that I deal with every day. So in that sense, that's kind of what I've been my quote unquote excuse. Although I hate that. I hate having an excuse. I hate having not doing what I want to do because I don't have the energy to do it all. You know, right now I'm trying to put together enough, working on my own business and doing video production and all that. I've taken up teaching, which I really enjoy, but teaching is almost a way for me to get back into Filmmaker IQ because teaching is like I'm revisiting all my Filmmaker IQ stuff. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, I honestly, if you were to ask me straight up, did I drop the ball? Yes, I have. I feel like I have dropped the ball a lot. But I mean, that's just the reality of my life, unfortunately. And I plan to make it, come back and do more videos and put out more stuff. Like I've got normal lenses. I feel like frame rate's going to be a topic I need to talk about because things are just kind of heating up about frame rate. I do have somebody did put me in touch with somebody that's working with the new technology, so maybe I can get something useful out of that. But I feel like it's a topic that I need to come back and readdress because there's new interesting developments on that. But anyhow, there you go. Pre-holiday pop quiz. Last Christmas, All I Want for Christmas Is You or Fairy Tale of New York. I haven't heard Fairy Tale of New York. Although my favorite Christmas song still, unfortunately, is the canceled version of It's Baby It's Cold Outside. I still like that song. Despite all the political garbage surrounding it, I still like that song. Because to me, it's more friendly than it is Me Too. Although, I mean, it depends on how you arrange it. Hey babe, what's in that drink? Could mean, is it roofied, or could it mean, hey, did you put like a lot of vodka in this? Because what's in this drink? Did you put a little extra splash of something something? I'm paying for the days of somewhat more fun, but no, we can't have that. No, can't have that. So I think my favorite song, Christmas song, is going to be "Baby It's Cold Outside." Partly also because it's not necessarily a Christmas song. My least favorite Christmas song, and we can all agree, I think, is the most awful thing ever created in this universe, is "Christmas Time" by John McCartney, not Paul McCartney. That song is awful. I hate it. Every time I hear it, I want to tear my ears out because it is just so awful. But then I realized that that song is probably making Paul McCartney like $600,000 a year because I mean, I can't imagine that. He's making that much money just for that stupid, awful freaking song. DJ Romax says that "Little Drummer Boy" is the worst Christmas song. You're not wrong. You're in the neighborhood, I think. But the Paul McCartney song is worse. Now, "Little Drummer Boy" can be done well if it's done cleverly. Otherwise, it's literally just monotonous, da 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 ba da dum bum, over and over and over and over and over and over again. Now, usually I don't have a lot of. For a while here, I'm a trumpet player, as I mentioned probably every stream, but I usually do a lot of I used to do a lot of Christmas stuff when I used to work with this local mega church. But since the mega church kind of switched directions and the choir director left to go to Denver, I never did anything with them because they didn't do like Christmas musicals anymore. They used to do like musicals like 3 times a year, so I'd always be involved. But this year, for the last like 10 years, I haven't done anything. And this year, somebody did ask me to do a Christmas Eve thing, and I'm like, sure. So I don't know what kind of Christmas music. I probably won't be. I mean, I have a feeling it'll probably be. I don't know if it'll be traditional like Christmas music, but I don't know. It might be like nouveau Christian music. I don't know. I'll play anything anybody wants. Mr. 583993, not to be mistaken with Mr. 5839. 2 different people. Get it right, John. Hey, John, any regular YouTubers in the filmmaking space you consume on a regular basis? Filmmakers, let's see. Well, I mean, I do like Red Letter Media. I watch them. I mean, I'm very appreciative of them. I don't want to, like, I don't know if we could call Red Letter Media filmmakers, although they absolutely are filmmakers. No beef whatsoever. They are absolutely filmmakers. I like them. I do watch them regularly. In fact, I left my TV on for my mom, and I had YouTube, and it just basically cycled best of the worst over and over and over again, like different versions. And I came home like 4 hours later. I went out and get some, and it was still playing best of the worst episodes because it kept going and going and going. They're my favorites. I'm trying to think. I don't watch a lot of film YouTube. Obviously, Captain Disillusion's great. Gerald Undone. I haven't watched a lot of his stuff, but what I've seen is pretty good. So those are guys I kind of follow once in a while. What's that guy that does the sound? I see him a lot. I at this point, because I don't follow everything too tightly, I wouldn't say I won't be like starting drama and saying don't follow anybody, because I think most everybody's kind of like calmed down. Like all the really weird voices or terrible voices are not really doing it so much anymore. I think everybody's pretty tame. Or either that, I'm getting old and I don't want to start drama with anybody because I don't feel like it. Because they can point to me like, John, you haven't done much film, you haven't done much YouTube at all. You just do these streams which are easy effort. It's like, yeah, you're right. You're right, I haven't, and I need to fix that. So I am very self-conscious and aware of the fact that I need to do more. A lot more. Pedro says, Little Drummer Boy has a German version that is something. I heard a German guy, but I think Bowie did his version too. That's why I think, like, if you do the most basic version of Little Drummer Boy, it's horrible. If you go to your nephew's kindergarten class and they're doing Little Drummer Boy, yes, I agree. It's absolutely annoying and terrible. It's a terrible song. However, it's like it's kind of like Brussels sprouts. Like Brussels sprouts can be really, really awful if you just do nothing with it. But if you dress up Brussels sprouts, they can be absolutely delicious. I think that's the way it is with Little Drummer Boy. However, It's Christmas Time by Paul McCartney is just a turd in your stocking. It's awful. Don't ever, I mean, you'll never see your nephew's like preschool class do a song like that. Speaking of preschool classes, because I'm reminded of the holidays, my buddy who lived down here, and we're talking like 15 years ago. Like he made a career, not career, but he made his money making videos for, and one of his clients was a preschool, right? And he would tape the preschoolers all their Christmas pageants, which just consisted of, they take the preschoolers, they dress them up in like something that would be otherwise embarrassing. The purpose of doing that, I understand, is so that you can take a photo of them when they're 5 years old, dressed as a reindeer, and then you can embarrass that child for the rest of their life with that photo. That's the only reason they do this. I have it on high authority that is a precise reason why people dress their kids up for Christmas, and just solely for the future embarrassment possibilities. I'm absolutely convinced, and I hope to practice that myself one of these days. But anyhow, he would do these videos of all these preschool things. But this is like 15 years ago, or maybe even longer than that. Yeah, it'd be 15, 16 years ago. And it slowly became, he's left over to the other coast because he got tired of California. And he was, he was trying to rope me into doing them and taking it over. And I was like, put my foot down. No, I will not do Christmas pageant for little kids, especially nowadays. Like 15 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, when video equipment was still rare, like having a very high quality video of your 5-year-old, nephew, niece dressed up as, Santa Claus and dancing like a silly clown, that would have been worth $20 to buy on a DVD. Today, you get out your phone, you shoot it, you send it off to grandma and grandpa, and that's it. We're done. We don't need to do any more. You don't need a DVD. You don't need a Blu-ray. You don't need all that. You don't need to get money. You just literally take your phone out and record it. Everyone does it. No one's going to stop you if, and pretend like I got to pay me $20 to record your kid. No. So the business of that is gone. Totally gone. Absolutely dead in the water. And I saw that coming 15 years ago. It was already starting to go. Anyhow, let's get back to your chats. That was just reminded me. They never, ever sang Paul McCartney's piece of crap song, This Is Christmas. They never, ever. They sang all these other songs, and they may have even gotten to singing like All I Want for Christmas Is You, although I don't know if the 5-year-olds could have a 8-octave range that Mariah Carey does. But I feel like I'm peaking, aren't I? Well, that's okay. Just don't scream butt in the microphone. Let's go back to your chats. Any New Year's resolutions or goals for 2023? My New Year's resolution is to get back into videography and editing more actively than usual. Good. I don't like, obviously, New Year's resolution because they always die off in a few. I'm a big follower of the concept of systems versus goals. And you probably hear this in books like Atomic Habits. I'm a big follower of Scott Adams, the Dilbert guy. So he's always talking about systems and goals. I firmly believe that. And that's also what makes me depressed, is because I feel like I cannot seem to get my systems in place. Like I have goals, like I want to lose weight, but I don't have a system in order to freaking lose weight. It's terrible. So, but definitely, if you can start implementing systems to try to do more in videography, do more editing. Like I'm trying right now to turn my editing turn and burn stuff faster, because I have a lot of editing things that are very easy to do, but I just take my time on them, and I'm trying to develop ways to make it going through it faster. Matthias, my friend from the Frame Rate Wars, comes and says, "Hello, I only arrived here now. Do you plan on doing a video on Avatar: The Way of the Water, watching the film in all available formats when it's released, and spiritual sequel to it?" Yeah, not the spiritual, it is the literal sequel to Gemini Man video. I plan on doing it. I'm not going to watch it in all the formats. I will watch it probably in two formats. Yeah, systems versus goals, Scott Adams. It's been picked up by things like Atomic Habits. I mean, it's a common self-help kind of take now. And I think it's true. I think if you can develop a system of doing things and then stick to that system, you can benefit. However, I will kind of pull back a little bit in that saying that it's some. I think for some people it's hard. Like I feel like for me, I have a sort of allergy toward not monotony, but routine. I don't like routine, so I'm worried that systems might kind of mess me up. Although I want to get, I mean, I have certain systems I do, like making breakfast for my mom is a system I've kind of gotten used to. Like I usually used to always do like an avocado toast. Again, here's my thing. I don't stick to routine. I used to do avocado toast, like sausage patty and an egg, a soft boiled egg. That's a delicious breakfast if you haven't had it. But then I stopped doing that because I wanted to change things up a little bit. So there you go. I don't know. Systems versus goal, hopefully, but maybe not. Rick H, how you doing? From Tennessee. Memphis, I missed you last week. Was out of the garage filming and my phone on silent. Well, that's a shame. My goal for 2023 is to not be so lazy. Here to that. I'll drink to that too. Chase Takatero says, Avatar 2, The Quest for Unobtainium. Yep, Unobtainium. Mathis says, thanks for the answer regarding Avatar 2. About the new year, I just want to be far less stressed and explosive person in the new year, but college is going to get harder, so it doesn't help. Well, you'll get there. So this Thursday is going to be the last day of my class because next week is Thanksgiving, so there's no college courses on Thanksgiving. I teach on Thursdays and Fridays, so I'm not teaching next week because it is Thanksgiving. So this week I'm going to review. So right now I've gone through 2 projects with them. I've gotten them an editing project, which was fun. I think it got them excited about it. Then I got them shooting an interview, which I think scared half of them. I think half of them like, oh crap, what did I sign up for? And now the third project is like, okay, you maybe you didn't. I mean, some of them did very well on their second project, the interview project. Some of them did absolutely terrifically well. Third project is like, okay, you tried it once, let's do it again, but this time for reals. So that's what the third project is. And so I'm going to review the things that they did wrong on their second project. And you know what the first topic that came to my mind of what I need to review? Take a guess. It is, I won't even wait for your answers. It's sound. Like I got to go back and talk about sound. So I'm going to go through now, like I feel like when I went through sound the first time, I went through it almost in a very technical way of doing it. I think I need to go back and just cover it again and maybe tell it one more time through, because I think now they got a chance to work with it. They can appreciate what I'm talking about when I talk about sound. It's, what I've discovered in a way that I need to I'm going to turn my mic just down a hair. Sorry guys. But what I've discovered in a small way is, and then dealing with, like the video I did about 32-bit float, it's that sound and frame rate and a lot of this technical stuff has a lot of voodoo attached to it that people don't understand. I don't think it's a lot of voodoo. I think sound is actually quite straightforward and simple if you understand the scientific basis of it. But then you start adding voodoo like high bit rate and high or levels. People get lost. Like we need to bring it back to the most basic essence of how to capture sound. Anyhow, just a sidetrack on that. Oftentimes I see on Reddit, I lurk on the videography Reddits and some of the filmmaking Reddits, and every time somebody talks about like equipment, there's always one guy that chimes in and says, you know what? You got to put all your money into sound, man. You got to put all your money into sound. And the fact of the matter is, no, you don't. You don't need to put all your money into sound. It's just, sound is important. Absolutely. This editing guy, another guy at YouTube that you should probably watch. This editing guy said, sound effects is 70% of the picture, right? And I thought, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that it can be. I just don't feel like I need to put a number value on it. Sound is super crucial, obviously. I'm turning my mic down right here to just make sure you get a little bit better. Sound is super critical. Absolutely agree, 100%. Doesn't mean it needs to take over your budget. It doesn't mean if you got to make sure you afford the best sound. You can afford decent sound and be just fine. maybe not the top of the line Electrosonics. You don't need to spend $1,500 on a wireless audio gear, especially if your camera is only $1,500. Why would you do that? You know, let the guys who are making the big bucks spend the $1,500 on the wireless system. I'm sorry, yes, it'd be nice if you could afford that. If you could throw the money at $1,500 at a one wireless microphone pack, knock yourself out. But I feel like there's other ways you can spend that money if you don't have anything to begin with. Anyhow. Hey, Bullet Silence says, looking for my first short next year? Yes. Get off my own back. Awesome. Good for you. Sound is 50% of the picture. Timecode helps you out with sound. Shooting higher frame rate usually turns off sound recording in most cameras. Oh, does it really? I didn't know that. Yeah, he says, again, follows up. Jealous sound guys, they can get kitted out for about 10,000 pounds. Camera ops like us in the hundreds of thousands. Exactly. It's true. It's totally true. And again, I feel like nuance the internet is where nuance goes to die. It's one of those things where it's like, I can talk about how important sound is and then say, well, you don't need to spend that much money on sound to get great sound. People are like, oh, how dare you defy the logic of, you must get good sound. That's the most, like, no, you don't need that expensive equipment. And like the thing, I don't understand why this advice I feel like should have taken off a whole lot better than it has. I don't feel like I'm seeing enough people repeat this. I see when I do occasionally see those videography posts and talk about frame rate, and I do see some of my points getting recycled out there. I do see that, so that's good. And I don't know if that necessarily came from me, but it's a general zeitgeist of the thing, right? But how come no one's saying, get your microphone close to the source? Like mic placement is 99% of the problem with most bad sound out there. It's like you didn't get the mic close enough to the subject. Maybe that last 1%, okay, be a little more generous. Maybe 5% is like maybe mic choice isn't the right. Let's give it like 5%. But like 95%, especially amateur video or amateur film production or amateur video, whatever it is, it's all about mic placement. And it's usually because the mic is like that far away from the subject matter. That's the problem, right? It's because they've got so much distance from the person to the mic. Like podcasters do it all. And that's not just, I'm obviously doing like a podcast setup here, but if it's like, a wireless mic, a boom mic or stuff like that. There you go. Eric says, more about mic placement and setup than money invested for sure. And I am into gear. No, there's nothing wrong being into gear too. Absolutely wrong. I mean, gear is fun. Let's be honest. I spent nearly $1,000 on freaking gear today, and I was trying not to buy more gear, but I was trying to figure out. I was buying some stuff to make my streaming setup because I do 4 student of the month programs a month. They're not streaming, but I record them live. So I switch live and I record, and I find if I do that, it makes post quite a bit easier. I get 2 cameras. I don't need to like switch the cameras in post. I just take the file, I drop in the graphics, cut out the boring parts, boom, we're done. So I can get my cutting down pretty substantially if I'm not editing there. Maybe kill off about an hour or 2 doing that. So I'm trying to reduce my footprint of my streaming box. So I bought a fold out screen because my old Blackmagic screen's a little touch and go. I don't trust it half the time. So I did get that, and I bought a piece from my Ronin S3 that will basically make it a low profile standalone gimbal thingy. So okay, I love my gear. I'm sorry, but yeah. Anyhow, that's another problem. It's like I gotta stop spending money, man. But then again, I picked the wrong career for it, right? Matthew says the audiophile world is such a can of worms. Look at MoFi scandal that this year. There's a MoFi scandal. I don't even know what that is. Some people now swear they could hear digital sound all along. Something like that. It's complicated. A thing that bugs me about, it wasn't until I realized that whole stair step concept. The people are like, oh, you can hear the stair steps. No, you can't, because the stair steps aren't real. Because the thing is, like, all audio starts off as analog waves to the air. It gets picked up by the microphone's analog signals. Then it goes into an analog to digital converter, which converts it to digital. And then when you play it back on a speaker, the speaker converts the digital stair steps back into analog. So you're hearing analog again. Everything's analog. There is no digital. Digital is just the way we store the format. We convert it back to analog again. And so the whole argument like, oh, analog versus digital, I mean, I understand the point. They're saying that, digital captures it in a different way, or it stores the information in a different way, and you can hear that difference. I get that. But you can't hear the digital part of it. Anyhow, what's my take on ADR and post audio? I think ADR is fantastic. I wish more people would practice ADR. ADR is also very, very hard to do right. In fact, when I did ADR for my video, I screwed up the first time. I had to bring them back and do it again, which is good, which is fine. I think ADR needs to be done more and more. And the fact of the matter is, like, it feels like only us Americans and maybe the European filmmakers, only the European and American filmmakers don't actually rely on ADR. Like correct me if I'm wrong, but like Asian countries, and it goes like China and India, and back in the day too, also all the Italian films, they never recorded sound on set. Everything was ADR. So I think I peaked there. I just screamed everything. But so yeah, I think ADR is a necessary practice. It needs to be practiced. Necessary practice needs to be practiced. Makes sense, John. Rick H says, I shot a creepy liminal space video at office today. I can't release it because of the policy of no pictures on the property. Ooh, creepy liminal space video. Nice. Do I stream on Twitch as well? I have not, but I should, because Twitch, let me know in the comments what you think of this idea. Twitch allows you to do a watch along. So if there's a movie on like Amazon that we could all watch together, I feel like that'd be kind of fun to do if we do a watch along where we're just watching a movie and we can comment and talk about the movie as it's playing. Now, I obviously can't do that on Facebook or on YouTube. But Twitch is kind of cool in that sense. Now, the reason how they got around the copyright, basically it's the stream is just streaming the person watching the movie. The movie itself is synced up through another player through Amazon. So you'd have to have an Amazon account as well in order to watch the movie with me. I might be able to, I might be able to go through and like call out time code so you can later watch it. But I think that'd be kind of cool to do. Chase says, I'm kind of on the fence on micro recorders. I think they are very situational specific and will make sense for capturing backup audio during exterior recording or outdoor filming. I have gotten really into the Rode Go 2 or whatever they call them, Go recorders, those little tiny boxes. I have seen them everywhere. And to be frank, they are very good. They're surprisingly good. In fact, I actually now own 2 sets. I have four of the microphones. Now I haven't quite figured it out how to get that to quite work with my. So when I do my student of the month programs, what I do is I put an audio recorder on the microphone board. So most of these programs have like a wireless Sennheiser wireless microphone, very common AV equipment. They take a line out of that, and I go into my task. I have an Zoom H4n and I have a Zoom F8n. So I take the line out, go into that, and then what I could do is I could take the Rode Go's, and I take a little like 1/8" mini jack and go out of the recorder into the wireless and feed the wireless to my camera. That way I have a reference signal so I can sync them later in post, and as a backup too. But I've been very impressed with those things. Those little guys, they're not that expensive it's like $250 for two channels, 2 sets of them, and you can plug in your own microphone to them. And they also have a built-in microphone, and they also can act as a backup recording capability. So I have backup upon backup upon backup. Because remember, sound, when I do Student of the Month, sound is the most important thing. Like video doesn't matter that much. Sound is really the important thing. I don't care. I don't really even care about video necessarily. Although I'd like to have video look nice. It's a bonus. But if the audio is not up to snuff, I get upset. That's my thing on those. Anyhow. So yeah, Bullet says he's up for a movie watch. I think that'd be kind of fun. Yeah, and then you said that you can only watch with people who are subscribed to Amazon Prime on Twitch. Yeah. So that would be the only caveat, is you have to watch Prime. You have to have Prime. And then, those that have it can join in, or if you don't, you can, if you own the movie or rent it, you can follow the time code wise. All right. Yeah, Rick Cage has the the Rode Wireless Go 2. Yeah, I like those things. Those are nice. I'm just very impressed by them, considering the quality. I mean, yeah, it's not electrosonic. But it's not $1,500 for a single set. The One True Kit. The One True Kit says, I'm torn between Rode Hollyland and DJI sets. They're also similar but different. I think for audio, I think I would go with Rode just because they have more of a track record. But I mean, Hollyland, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Hollyland or DJI. Only from their video standpoint. The Hollyland is not bad. It's not bad. I've had it, but the thing is, it's also not perfectly reliable. So I will give it that. But it's pretty darn good. Still do that on YouTube. I did one with GoldenEye watch along with the director Martin Campbell. Ooh, and Famke Janssen. I do love Famke Janssen. She's something else. Learned about so many shots that were miniatures. Yeah, isn't that cool? I bet you there are a lot. I even hear video podcasters say that audio is more important to them. All podcasts, the audio needs to be like 90% of the right, or at least not annoying audio. Like, I don't think my audio right now is perfect. I should probably have headphones. I should be monitoring. I should probably have a wind mic. I should probably be I have audio isolating. But this is not. It's not so bad that it's irritating, I think. So it's like there's a threshold you have to reach. Like once you get past the threshold, you can get audio better, of course. You can buy what's that one mic that every freaking podcaster uses, that black one? It's the SM405, I think, or 305, 405. I looked it up one time. It's like $400. I mean, it's a common mic, but it also feels to me like a basic bitch mic. It's like everybody gets it. Eric says my sound is fine. I think it is. I mean, I haven't checked it. I'm pretty sure it's okay. It's good enough. It's good enough for this thing. Sennheiser. No, it's not Sennheiser. It's not Sennheiser, is it? What is that podcaster mic? Okay, fine. Make me look at a podcaster microphone. I think it's the SM. So I think it's Shure. Shure. Where are you? I bet you the chat comes up with it. The Shure SM7B. I don't think that's it, but that might be. I mean, it looks like the one. Yeah, I guess it's Shure SM7B. I thought it was some other number than that. Sure, right? Yeah. Are you sure? Sure. 7. Yeah, someone says SM7B. I thought it was another number, but maybe is that the new version? Was there an old one that was like a Shure? Maybe I'm just making things up again. There I go, making things up again. I've actually got tickets to. I mean, it is the Shure SM7B, but I've got tickets to the Book of Mormon here coming up later this month. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it is. I mean, I see everything I look here is SM7B. That's like everybody uses that as a podcast mic. I mean, this is basically this. They call this the Rode Broadcaster. I got that in part of my when we did a sponsor deal with them, so I got it, and this is pretty much their version of it. I don't even think they make this particular one anymore, but I think the new ones are black. I think they make them. I mean, I don't know how long it's been. Like, I think I've had this for like 6 years or something like that. Still a good mic, Mics don't necessarily go bad. You can drop them and break them, but they're people still use mics, vintage mics, all the time, and they're great. Anyhow, why are we talking about this? I don't know. What else is going on? Let's see. So we've got to do. I'm going to be talking about sound with the students. I'm going to go through their videos one more time and try to figure out like what little areas that I should talk to them about. I do want to talk to them about like I do want to talk to them about focusing. Oh boy. It's almost unfair to give really young novice filmmakers, people that really haven't done a whole lot of video, it's really not fair to give them a manual lens. It's not nice because it's focusing is one of those things where it's like there's a zen to it. You have to kind of get familiar with how focusing works in order to kind of grasp how to do focusing. Mind if I hang out here? I do not mind at all. Join us. Feel free to ask questions or talk or say whatever you want. But yeah, a lot of students' films when they turn it, because they have access to the Blackmagic Pocket 6K camera. It has a Pocket 6K camera, and they gave them a Rokinon 35 millimeter 1.8 lens, and man, oh man, they don't know how to focus. Half of them don't understand how to focus. I agree, manual focus is awesome, but there's a light touch that needs to be added to it, and there needs to also be a recognition that it's not autofocus, and you actually do need to focus the damn thing. Yeah. Tell them to bring a lot of lights and shoot at f8, f11. The problem is right now, the colleges, I mean, we're coming out of the pandemic. The head of the college is trying to build this video program up. So unfortunately, they only have like 8 cameras for them to borrow. So I tell the students, like, you can use the cameras. You have to rent them out from the college, and they're, it's obviously included in the price of the class. So it's not like they're paying for it. But they only have like 8 cameras, and they don't have a whole lot of other gear. They have the wireless Go's, which is how I discovered about those Rode Go microphones. When I tried them out, I was like really impressed with that. And they don't have a lot of lights yet, so they're working on it. And I do want them to, obviously I want them to shoot a little bit. So that I'll be talking about sound. I'll talk about focus. Talk about like maybe peaking, like make sure you turn your peaking on or zoom in, do the magnifying thing. You can also look at the barrel of the lens and see how far you're off. But it's one of those things too. It's like, I guess the myth is, just because it looks like it's in focus when you're looking at your viewfinder, doesn't mean it's actually in focus. Because your viewfinder is actually creating greater depth of field because it's small, and then you blow it up to the screen, size of the screen. When you're looking at a computer like full size, like, oh crap, that's not in focus. So now, however, manual focus is always my preference. Don't trust those magical robot lenses. I am actually, for event stuff, autofocus is my preference is autofocus. However, I do have to fight it sometimes. But if I do like an event where I have to do like a long amount of coverage, I trust autofocus a lot better than trusting my eyes for critical stuff. But if I was doing like a movie, or if I was doing like, well, honestly, if I'm doing like a talking head, if you have autofocus properly set, it's just as good. I would prefer using that over manual focus. If it's like a talking head, like a lot of the Canon stuff nowadays has a very, very fine controlled autofocus. You just make sure it has like face detection. Make sure the face detection is on. You make sure you click on it, and then you can double check it, and then just leave it. And it won't do that hunting for focus kind of thing. It's pretty good about that. So autofocus is getting better. I'll get better. If I was doing like a creative project where I wanted to rack focus, then I would not use autofocus. Autofocus tacking can work well in the new lenses, but something satisfying about using manual. Yeah, it's definitely satisfying. I agree with you there. I seem to have joined at the perfect time. The viewfinder thing applies to me like crazy. So many autofocus shots I wish I could redo. It's true. And nowadays, record whatever, I have my laptop on standby and check each shot there. So, what you can do is check your barrel of the lens to see if it is a focus. Definitely use the magnifying. See, the thing about the viewfinder being not very truthful is the same issue that when I talked about my video on focusing. Oh, my mouse code? There it goes. When I talked my video about depth of field, which got a lot of controversy back in the day, I think it's been accepted now. It's the idea that depth of field changes depending on how much you blow up the image. The more you blow up an image, the shallower the depth of field. Right? It makes sense. Like if you're looking at a viewfinder and it's like that small, it's really tiny, everything looks like it's in focus, right? But if you do that punch in button, you zoom in, you can see that subject is not necessarily in focus. The background's in focus, but it's all based on how much you blow up the image, right? That's kind of like that's very intuitive, right? It makes sense, right? Now, when you take that over to the idea of a small sensor, like a small sensor needs to be blown up much bigger than a large sensor. A large sensor maybe starts off here and you blow up to here. But a small sensor starts off here, you have to blow it up way, 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 way much. That's the reason why small sensors have a shallower depth of field than a wide sensor, which is counterintuitive and backwards thinking. But it's because of the lenses that makes it feel like it's deeper depth of focus. That's why. Bullet Science says, my Steadicam friend said, before all else with a kit, learn composition. Great point. This has stayed with me since he told me. Christopher McGuire, he did long take in the first season of True Detective. Cool, yeah. Yeah, composition. I might do that one. Although I gotta admit, most of my students had pretty decent composition. I'm gonna take a look at that. Maybe that might be one to cover again. Why not? Aren't amateur filmmakers more like aspiring directors than camera guys? I think the thing is, though, these days, I think the vast majority of the work out there in the world, you're everything. I think Hollywood. I think most, if you get to a job where you have to stratify, you have to basically specialize. Okay, those kind of jobs where you actually have to specialize in a particular field, those are going to be maybe 5% of the workforce are going to be like specifically, I'm a camera operator and that's what I do. I don't edit. I just camera operate. I think 95% of the jobs out there are going to be, I need you to make a video and you have to shoot it and you have to edit it and you have to write it. You have to do everything. I feel like going in the future, that's going to be the reality of it. There's still going to be that 5 to 10% of jobs out there where you do have stratification. All right. And I think, and even then, I think a lot of those jobs are going to be like, I'm the best at camera, but I also edit. I think you're going to have some of that. Like you're going to have to be able to do something in all the fields, but you can have a preference and you can have like a specialty skill. But I feel like you can't. And I've heard this. I've heard because I did work with some people that did some documentary stuff for like Discovery Channel, and there are some guys that say all I want to do is shoot. I don't want to do any editing. I don't do it. And they're but how many of those jobs are there? I think the vast majority of the jobs are going to be you got to do everything. And I'm not talking about just, because when I think about motion picture, I don't think of just Hollywood. I don't think just cable channels. I don't think about entertainment. I'm thinking about all the video work out there. And I think that includes like corporate video work, corporate documentary, news, all that. It's all, you got to learn like a whole everything. And you can specialize in certain things. You can be better at certain things, but I feel like doing everything is going to be, the reality. Racking focus with anamorphic lens is a beautiful artifact. It sure is. And I think that's why anamorphic is becoming more and more prevalent nowadays, especially if you go through streaming. A lot of streaming shows are anamorphic. John, in my case, I have everything I need except for my actors. I'm obviously that way too. Yep, there you go. Good composition and set design is what elevates a film above all else. I totally 100% agree, especially going to that set design stuff. Like I was driving the other day and I was thinking to myself, what makes a sci-fi movie good? And it's set design, isn't it? Like it's like you can spend all day you want on really cool lighting, but it's the set design that makes a sci-fi movie, right? It's the spaceship design. It's like it's just the way it's you can. It's not necessarily good cinematography. I mean, there obviously is good cinematography of a set, but it's the set design that makes it what it is. So I feel like maybe the thing is like people just don't think about set designs that much. Shooting PDs is the term you're looking for. Is it PD public? I don't know what public doc. What is PD? I don't know, but probably. I call it. I mean, I generally call it not So I generally, what I say is, I say a narrative is a film the way we talk about films. Like a narrative film is, like with actors and story and blocking and all that stuff. Narrative is what we talk about when we think about movies, right? And I think everything else is like either is documentary based, reality based. And I feel like that is way bigger of a market. Like it's a huge market. Like, I did a whole history of documentary for my class, and I was talking about like, the growth of documentary. And now it feels like everything is some form of reality based documentary. Hell, this is some sort of reality based documentary. Oh, producer director. That's the term. Yeah, I agree with that. That's PD. I think everybody ends up. I think there's a lot more PD jobs, producer director jobs, in the future than there will be specific, you know, uh, specialized jobs. What mic do I use right now? This is the Rode Broadcaster mic that's in front of me. As far as mics are concerned, I have, depends on what I'm shooting. Like I'll be doing some orchestra stuff, or I'll be doing a recital on Sunday. I have two Rode NT55s that they were given me by Rode when I did the thing. Those are awesome. And I was actually looking up maybe buying two more, but it's like they're $600. Like, I don't need to spend $600 for two. But they're terrific. I love them. For recording music, they're awesome. I've got a couple Samson C03s. They're a little bit noisy. I don't really care for them, but they work in like close-up miking. For audio, for like, if I'm doing like wireless microphones, I have some Rode Lavs that can send into the Go's. I also have the Rode wireless kit and a Sennheiser wireless kit. They're both useful for wireless. For boom mic, I have an SM, not SM, but the Sennheiser ME66, something like that, or is that the battery pack? I can't remember which one it is. But the traditional, that's one of my microphones. I also have Rode NT2s. I think I've got two of those. So that's for like boom mic situations. And then I've got some other mics. I've got the Rode NT1, which is really good for voiceover. I got a lot of gear. Some of it I bought, some of it was given to me. But yeah, I've got a lot of gear. Also have these Samson Boundary mics. I don't know where they are. I gotta find them. I should dig them out for the rehearse. They're good for certain kinds of recordings. Like maybe I'm gonna put them in the piano because I'm recording a piano recital. That may be good for piano work. Well, I got a lot of mics. All right. Let's see. Danny says, I got a lot of hot take stances. You'll need to be more specific. I feel like I have a lot of hot takes, but I think if you were to really listen to me talk for a little bit, you wouldn't think they're spicy at all. I think mine are completely just commonsensical. All right. I use a Shure MV7. What's your opinion about that mic? I don't know what that is. Let me take a look at it. Shure MV7. Let's see. Let me take a look. Shure MV7. Oh, it's a USB mic. Cool. It looks like the same thing as the MVB, but it's a USB mic, right? Is that the idea with it? I don't know. I mean, sure. Right? Sure. I don't particularly care for the SM58 and SM57s. They're great for like reinforcing sound, but they're not very good for recording sound. I've discovered that. Like I bought a couple SM57s. They're very common in like live like sound. They're super common. They're almost like they're like the Xerox of sound. Everyone just, that's what they think of when they think of, I need a mic for the person I'm talking to. But for recording, like actually recording sound, they're kind of rough around the edges. They're dynamic mics. They're not going to be, they're like, they're very blunt instruments. Let's put it that way. I'd argue the fact that both of these sets are you're talking about the movies. You're talking about, because I was talking about sci-fi movies. That's right. I haven't seen the Red Dwarf or the Lex. So I've been out of the loop. I like that outlook a lot, but for the previous stance, I just couldn't help but think, you guys are still arguing about those films. I'll let you guys argue because I don't have a dog in that fight. Honestly, I haven't been in the movies in like 5 months. because I've been super busy with doing musicals. So I've been watching movies at home. Hey, Rick, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the stream. Appreciate that very much. I'll put it right on the screen. Boom! Look at that. Thanks, Rick. Sorry to segue, but your backdrop is that 3 vertical screens you've got lined up? Yeah, it is. That was my theory. The whole idea was doing like a virtual background, sort of Mandalorian style. I haven't really pushed it to its limits. The original purpose, the original thought was to put a video back there. And my lights are flickering now, so it's kind of annoying me. Am I seeing it on the screen? Yeah, you're seeing a little bit on the screen. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe I need to replug them or unplug them and plug them back in again, something like that. Restart them. I have a little controller. I just hit blackout, so I don't necessarily turn them off all the way. So maybe that's what it is. But dang, I was only going to join for a minute or two since I'm getting started on my Jaws thing, but I got sucked in here as usual. Well, get back in the Jaws. We need a bigger boat. Gonna need a bigger boat. All right, let's see what else is coming up here. Gotta keep a strong will, though, so I do have to force myself to leave. All right, but these streams are always fun, possible my favorite. Oh, thank you. I don't watch streams at all, so in fact, I actually started to watch streams a lot more. I find streams to be very entertaining background noise stuff. Really, I've got to go back and make my videos. I've got to do it. And I totally understand how people probably that follow me don't necessarily want to watch the streams. I get that. Streams are something easy for me to do. It keeps me in the YouTube algorithm. But I do need to make videos, damn it. I got to do it. And I've just been I've been depressed and out of it and tired. And I think I'm starting to claw my way out of that. So. Cat Ed, the opposite of reliable. Cal Ed. Oh, California Edison. Maybe. I think it's these LED. I think these are Cobb LED lights, and I think now they're getting better. Left Hand Puppetry made it to the stream. Yes, you did. Curious to know if anyone has used the Sennheiser brand of wireless microphones, that they're worth the recording audio. I mostly use Tascam recording being used in productions. Yes, Sennheiser. Okay, every time I talk about audio, there's always some audio guy that is better than me and will tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. To me, that is my experience with audio guys. They know better than God what is good. And they will say a Sennheiser is a crap, or they'll say it's the most basic, lowest entry point into sound. To me, the guy that's scraping together pennies to put together a video production, Sennheiser is probably like the most trusted, like consistent brand you can have. They're not. I don't know what Electric Sonic sounds like. I bet you if you put them sound side by side, you'd never be able to tell a difference. Now, Electric Sonic might be better in that it's a bolder signal. It doesn't drop out. Doesn't have issues. I've had issues with Sennheisers that we were filming a State of the City speech one day, and because it was thundering outside, every time you heard a little bit of thunder, the microphone would crack, and it's because of the electricity in the air. So because it jumped the signal, something like that. So yes, our Sennheiser's good. They are very good. They were considered in the video production world to be like a workhorse. Not the most expensive, but they are solid. They're not the cheapest. They're not cheap crap. They're very, very solid. Very, very solid. Mister's going to go to work, pay the bills. Good for you. That's the way. That's what I've been doing for all these things. Holly Watt Media says, in filming commercials for a couple of casinos this week, probably one of my favorite run and gun atmospheres to film, and I'm going to shoot my first short film next year, and who's all shot a short film already. Oh, cool. The casinos are the best, although they're letting you shoot in a casino run and gun. I have a friend that he's worked on a couple of our projects for Filmmaker IQ, but he works for the big casino down the street, and I got to work with them for a little bit, and I feel so jealous of those studios because they've got like the highest end red cameras, and they're like, oh, we ran out of space. You know, we they shot a whole documentary like at 8K at the lowest compression setting. I mean, a documentary, like hundreds of hours of footage at like this, and it's got a high bit rate and high data rate. And they, you know, if when they run out of space, they just call IT and say, hey, we need another 100 terabytes, and they say, okay, sure, and then boom. They got 100 terabytes on their networked storage system. They got more money than God. That's just such a nice thing, man. I'd love to work with them some more, but I don't know. I don't think they're gonna hire me. I don't know. They might not see the value of me. I think they gave me a really good deal, and I charged them a lot, and they paid happily. But I don't think they're gonna invite me back. But if they do, I'd love to go work with them again. I don't know. I don't think it's that I was too expensive. I think there's just a lot of other people that they would hire first because they are like, you know, within the known in the tribe and stuff like that. I wouldn't be way down the list because they've got a lot of other people they can go with first. Anyhow, I'm a fan of certain imperfections. Sometimes it's a very specific look in which I need more time to explain properly. Perhaps another time. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Have fun editing, but you're not wrong. Imperfections are definitely kind of the thing about filmmaking that I love. So last week in my class I did the blocking video. I walked them through that exercise, and I showed them like each individual version of it. And it took about an hour to go through the whole thing. I kind of gave my own take on it. But the thing, and I was talking about this last week too, was this whole, we were bringing up this idea of, well, if you just shot everything on green screen, just shoot everything on green screen. Right? And how, like, I feel like it's such a soul-sucking experience to do it on green screen. Like, part of going to a set, part of going to even a real location is the imperfection of it. Like, if you were to have control over every single micro detail in the shot, it becomes so sterile and boring and, you know, just way too much work. I know nowadays, maybe I'll get myself in trouble for saying this, but like, it feels like with so much power these days, I'm not going to get in trouble for saying this, with so much power to basically edit and change every little detail, you fall into this trap where every little detail gets changed and there's no like reality to anything. Like you can literally, the good examples of the prequel movies of George Lucas, where everything was made in a computer. Every detail, every background. There was nothing that was just spontaneous. And sure, you know, the auteur theory tells us this is the best thing because it's the best thing to realize the director's vision. But I think the whole idea of the director's vision should be more taken as a macro idea rather than a micro idea. It's not the director's vision that he or she takes this image out of their brain and then spits it out on celluloid. It's the director has this idea of what this film could be and where this film could go. And then the actors kind of bring that vision along and make it happen. Rather than like, I've envisioned a spark on that fork right there. It needs to be a little glint on that fork that's right in front of the actor in that diner scene. And that Coke, that bubble needs to happen precisely at that moment. No, it doesn't work like that. It shouldn't work like that. And I feel like the overuse of CGI tends to kind of push that kind of just over detailed. Now, maybe somebody like David Fincher would totally disagree with me. And of course, let David Fincher disagree with me. I'm absolutely perfectly happy to accept that. But sometimes it's like, just the natural way things happen. The little happy, as Bob Ross would say, the happy little accidents. Make art what it is, rather than just, this is like another example I think of is like, I've been doing some miniature painting, like painting with 3D printed objects. And a lot of, like, let's say you're painting, there's a technique for painting like highlights or there's a technique called dry brushing, where you take a brush and you clear it off of all paint you dry it off as much as you can. And then you basically go over the object, and the highlights, the raised edges get hit with a little bit of paint, and it creates a little bit of highlight. But it's not like you're sitting there with a fine brush and brushing every single highlight. You're using a tool to kind of create this kind of randomness, almost randomness over an object. And that's kind of what that's the beauty of art. Rather than being specific, every tiny little detail is put in place by the person. I don't know. It feels like that's just overkill, and not that even interesting. Going back to sound, Bullet Science says, we're know how Sennheisers are the go-to, then Rode, then Sony. DJI are prosumer level. Interesting. You guys have Electrosonic. That's the one. That's the one that you always tell me you gotta get yourself Electrosonic. Electrosonic's the one to get. But like $1,500, I can't afford that. I mean, I can, but I don't want to. I want to pay my rent. Has anyone made a film for a virtual reality headset? I have not. Although I have done some work. Well, I mean, we did shoot a test for virtual reality. So I've shot some, and this is like 6 years ago. So I've shot some back when YouTube was kind of pushing VR really hard as far as VR video is concerned. Because that's when they had Google Card and all that stuff come out. And so I shot a little bit of a VR video just to test it out. And it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. It is not film though. And don't approach it at all thinking you're shooting a film, because you're not. It's such a radical departure. I've had this discussion a lot on my comment section this year, this couple weeks. For some strange reason, it's been getting a lot of play because people say that high frame, like people think that the national progression of movies is to go into VR, and I think that's absolutely incorrect. I think VR is going to be its own genre and more closely related to video games than to movies, because I don't think VR, and we could talk about it because I think it makes an interesting conversation, the difference between VR and movies. And a good example I would think is watching a love scene in VR is probably way more uncomfortable than watching a love scene in a movie. Like you can watch a movie where these couples talking to each other and whispering sweet nothings into each other and professing their love. But if you watched it in VR, it'd be like you're sitting there next to two people. You'd be like, do you guys want me to get out of here so you two can like do your thing? Because I'm just butting in. That's the problem with VR. It's you are in the movie, you are in the story. Even if you have no control of what's going on, your presence suggests otherwise. Your presence suggests you are in the moment. Whereas movies has this kind of like magic glass window. It's like I'm in the moment, but I don't feel uncomfortable. I can watch two people like gently talking, caressing each other, and talking to each other, and not feel really weird the way I would feel in a VR situation. Anyhow, that's my take. So VR is not the end game of cinema. I think cinema is where it is. I think we're going to obviously see more advancements and maybe high dynamic range. Although I like it, but I'm skeptical of where it's going to go. But I feel like cinema is going to be like books. I mean, do we need more technology for books? I don't think so. Anyhow, what's your take on the moon landing? Legit or very convincing movie? 100% legit, because anybody, the best argument I heard about this, there's a couple great arguments, but one great argument is the whole like there's no way you could have actually shot the moon landing with 1970s technology, 1969 technology. It just doesn't exist. But the other argument was from Kubrick's daughter, who said, like, if anybody knew my dad, Stanley Kubrick, you would know he would not fake the moon landing, because he would not believe in doing that. Absolutely not. Bullet Sign says, I'm a big believer in using all filmmaking tools to bring a story to life. If everything is CGI for me, it loses something. I state James Cameron's example is T2 True Lies. If everything is CGI, I think it loses. I agree. I agree. I'm not against CGI. I'm just against the idea. Like the movie Cats. I was just rewatching that the other day. Not the movie, but my review of Cats. But like, why couldn't they have just put them in cat costumes? Like, why did they need to CGI a cat body when the play obviously had cat costumes on? I mean, they could use CGI, like add like ears that moved and add like a tail that would go do stuff. But there's no reason why they couldn't have just done the whole thing in costumes. And it would have been less creepy. I mean, it's still creepy, but it would have been less, you know? Like, And I'm taken back also to that footage of Sir Ian McClellan on the set of The Hobbit, where he was just sitting there by himself and he like broke down. He like started crying. He's like, "What am I doing? I have nobody to act to." I mean, there's a certain level, like, yeah, you need to do that, but yeah. Daniel says at a certain point, the mindset of creating vision in post comes through in stuff like acting, cinematography. The feeling of minimal effort can be felt. Oh yeah, yeah, I think I know what you're saying. A good example, I think, was maybe the movie Spider-Man 3. Again, I'm picking up Thomas Hayden Church. I probably talked about this a couple weeks ago, but Thomas Hayden Church had just come off the movie Sideways, where I don't think he was up for an Oscar, but he was like serious like consideration for his acting chops. Thomas Hayden Church in the movie Sideways. If you haven't seen the movie, it's pretty good. But so when Spider-Man 3 is like, oh, Thomas Hayden Church is back, and I want to see how he does this. You know, he's a good actor. I want to see him so bad in Spider-Man 3. He was so wooden. I think it almost probably killed his career. I mean, I don't think anybody hired him for anything big after that because it's like he was so awful. Now, I think the reason why is because they did. He's probably acting on a green screen like he didn't have anything to do. He probably wasn't giving any direction because it's all CG. They're gonna make him Sandman. He's gonna be like doing all kinds of stuff. I don't know. I could be wrong. Probably am wrong. If a very convincing movie, what would you call a movie that people believe is reality? If I want to be like, if I wanted to be shallow, answer to that would be, I'd call that propaganda. If you want to go with that, the people the believe is reality. I mean, it boils down to like the kind of deep philosophical discussions about the nature of knowing things. Like I can watch Batman. I was having this conversation because somebody was saying like, I want to watch movies. Reality is always better. Reality is always the best thing. And I said like, well, you know, Batman is not real. Batman cannot fly. Batman cannot do these things. But when I go to watch a Batman movie, I don't want to believe in those things. I want to believe Batman is real. So the low frame rate allows me to believe that he is real. It allows me to entertain the idea of a guy running around in a costume and beating up bad guys. If I saw that in real life, I'd be like, this is stupid. So what is reality? Right? It was convincing. Do I believe in Batman? Yeah, of course. I do believe in Batman. You know, I believe when I watch a Batman movie, I believe that this is real. I believe this is a Batman universe. I'm peering into a different world, a different story. The question, I guess, boils down to what is reality? What do you mean by real? Anyhow, we can get into that deep. I'll get some other comments before we come back to it. I made a comment about Panavision cameras and lenses. Got a response that said cameras that shoot 24 FPS are hard to come by these days. Is that a real thing? So I thought you were being sarcastic because you were saying like I don't believe any cameras are Panavision. I only believe a movie should be shot on Panavision. So like I thought you're saying that they're super rare, right? So I got a response saying cameras that shoot 24. No, it's not real. Because I thought you were being facetious. I couldn't understand your comment. I thought your comment was saying like I only believe movies should be shot with Panavision cameras and lenses. I was like, well, yeah, sure, whatever. You want to make them super rare because 24 frames a second. Oh, maybe that's what it was. Because I thought you were being like facetious, like thinking like only movies. I don't know. I forget what it was. But I was making fun of you for saying that you wanted to like gatekeep movies to be super small segment of the population of movies out there. So I'm pretty sure nobody. I don't know if Panavision makes anything besides. Does Panavision make a digital camera? I don't think they do. I think Panavision's all still. I don't know. They might. I think they're all film. Chase says, I bet VR headset movies aren't too different from showcase features in Cinerama. You move your head slightly and they get more picture than usual. No, they're significantly different. They're significantly different. There's a couple reasons why. VR for one is there's a couple reasons. Frame rate is one of the issues. So with VR, you have to have a high frame rate. Period. You cannot do low frame rate VR. It'll make you sick. Don't do it. You can't do it. So the veneer of cinematic veneer is off, which is fine because you don't want that. The thing with Cinerama too is again, you have a reference when you sit in the theater and watch Cinerama. You have a visual reference. You have you have the edges of the screen. You can still see edges. It's not fully encompassing. With VR, it is fully encompassing. There is no edge of the screen. You are in there. So VR tends to also be very, very, very prone for people to get motion sickness. So because of that, you want to also be very, very delicate in how you move the camera. If you just start whipping the camera around, panning, people are going to get really sick because like they're watching. Oh, what the? It's like they literally turned your head, but your ears are saying, "No, your head's fine. Your head's not moving." So, in that sense, you can't really do a whole lot with motion in terms of VR. Cutting is another issue. Like if you were to cut from one scene to another, it'd feel very bizarre because a cut in a movie just feels like a thought change of thought. But in VR, a cut feels like all of a sudden you just transported. Like, I just got to a different location. Another thing with the difference between VR and cinema is also depth of field. VR, you should have pretty much infinite depth of field. I mean, there might be situations where you can try to do selective focus in VR. I can visualize how that might work. It does feel a little bit weird, especially super hyper focalized. Not hyperfocal, not trying to confuse with hyperfocal. Like super fine control of depth of field can't be really done in VR. It doesn't have to carry the same kind of weight it does in cinema. So a lot of things are different. So much so that I would say VR is not even close to cinema. I don't even think of them. They're not in the same ballpark. Not even close. And again, and this is the problem I run into every single time when I talk about like genres. Just because they're not the same ballpark doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It means they are two different things. Which is better? It's like soccer and freedom football. Football and football. All right, American football and soccer. Worldwide soccer, football. They're two different games. Two different rules, two different things. Completely different things. VR, cinema, completely different things. Completely different things. Don't think of them in the same area. You might be able to use certain techniques in one and apply it to the other. That's the way all art works. You always apply techniques across different mediums, but they're not anywhere near the same medium. Anyhow, I think that horror genre could thrive in a VR space. Ironically, horror is the worst thing in VR. Now, in a horror game, I get that. Okay, maybe. Like a video game perhaps would work in a horror situation, but any live action horror sucks in VR. Like you can't even come close. Like again, I'm going back to the YouTube experience with that. It happened in around October, so the YouTube did this whole thing where they gave all the creators a chance to make VR horror shorts, and they all featured them on YouTube, and not a single one of them was remotely scary, because the problem is I think part of the reason was the high frame rate. It literally makes everything feel like you're in a fun house, and there's nothing scary. It's just like, oh, there's some people running around being, goofy. There's no horror at all. Now, in a video game may be different because the video games might have a little bit, there's more of a reliance on jump scares or something like that. I don't know. I never found video games to be scary except for the jump scares. Jump scares get me good on video games, but like the just this doesn't have that same feel for it. The VR, a killer application for VR, maybe sporting events. I'm way behind on you guys. This was like 12 minutes ago. Let's jump forward here. I'm going to go back to forward. Acavario says, my point is that for me, high frame rate looks like garbage, and a huge part of magic of cinema has to deal with the filmic look of things that are shot with Panavision cameras. All right. The thing is, though, would you consider like Citizen Kane to be not cinematic because it wasn't shot on Panavision cameras? Because it wasn't shot on Panavision cameras. Like Panavision cameras is such a tiny subset of what cinema is. Like don't think of cinema as just Panavision cameras, because they're not. Like a lot of cinema is not Panavision. Like 95% of cinema is not Panavision. So that's what my point was. My point was, it's not Panavision. Panavision is a brand of camera that is very good, and a lot of big classic Hollywood movies used it. But it's not the only camera. Like all of Hitchcock movies were not Panavision. I don't think most of them weren't. They're VistaVision. So that's what I'm pointing. I'm way too broke to afford VR, so I thank you for letting me know of VR happenings. The Oculus isn't that expensive, but I will warn people about going to the Oculus. It's like we got a spammer. You can spend like $300 for a headset. Now you got to buy games. They don't come with games. Like that's what I really hate about that. Put user on timeout. Hide user on channel. Bye bye. They don't. Like you buy an Oculus, like you think like the old Nintendo games. Like remember you used to buy Super Nintendo? I'm really old, and it came with like Mario Brothers. So you got to play Mario Brothers and get the feel for the game. But Oculus comes with no games. Like you get like a little bit of Oculus, like Oculus like testing thing, but that's it. Anyhow. Yeah, the look on a Panavision camera isn't really a look. The same look can be achieved on Alexa Red if it's shot digitally. Yeah, and even Panavision, I guess larger format back in the day, maybe Panavision like 70 and 55 or whatever, all that stuff. I don't know them that well, but like all that stuff, nowadays they're having large format digital cameras as well. But I don't think Panavision is necessarily the thing that you like about the magic of cinema. Well, the other issue is I have no desire for VR. Well, yeah. I mean, not to get a little too racy on this channel, but there are some things in VR that certain kind of films on VR that are significantly different than watching it on a screen. Gives a whole new meaning to point of view. POV. Yes, it does. All right. I won't go any more further. I'm going back to cover your old comments. I like the Daniel. Daniel put a very good emoji there. Chase says, I feel like the medium of film has more or less been exhaustively finalized, and anything past what we've already entered is gimmickry. 3D VR, smell-o-vision, seats that shake the image. I agree with you. Like from a technical standpoint, yes. I feel like we have finalized, like the whole. So I have a friend who works for who does a lot with the ASC, so he's always on the tiptoe of like technological advancements as far as Hollywood is concerned. And I love I get the feeling that Hollywood people always tell me how great they are because they want to tell me they know way more than me, and that's fine. I get that. But I think HFR is kind of like the big, not HFR, HDR, high dynamic range is the big new thing. I'll be honest, I think HDR looks great. I can live without it. I honestly just feel like I can live without it. Because I think a lot of what HDR tends to lead to is just really, really bright highlights. And yeah, it can create this look of being there, like that look of like wow, I'm there. Like this is a window kind of a feel to it. And still have that low frame rate cinematic quality to it. But I don't know. The thing is, like, I have literally lived my entire life with like glasses and floaters in my eyes. So when I look at a bright light, I'll see like little dots dancing around. I don't have perfect vision. So, do I care that much about perfect video quality or film quality? Not really. And at the end of the day, I end up watching a lot of stuff on my phone and stuff that's not as high quality. I like the high quality. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I feel like at the end of the day, I'd rather just watch a good story. Bullet says, I work with Alexa Mini LFs and Arri Signature Prime lenses. They are unreal in look and price tag. Yeah, that's why you rent them out. That's why you don't buy them. Unless you're a big company like that casino that I worked with. But they didn't have Arris. They had They had reds. They had the highest end red because that's what they bought into. Because they're all USC film grads. They all bought the red cameras. But no, they could have gotten some Aris, right? And those would have been way that's the Aris are the typical Hollywood. I mean, most films get shot on the Ari or whatever, how you pronounce it. I wonder if there is a record for the world's shortest movie. Probably a frame. Like the thing is, in order to be considered a movie, I'm going to take your comment and drill down to it. The shortest movie would be, if you wanted to be a feature length film, it'd need to be at least 60 minutes or 50, depending on who's describing it. But there's something. There used to be a thing called 5-second shorts that people would make. It's like literally 5 seconds, so like a brief shot and it'd be over. That was a big thing back in the day, back when YouTube Atom films and stuff like that. There's something called 5-second shorts. The Sneeze, there you go. That's an example. That's like 26 frames, I think. That's pretty short. Shorter than 5 seconds. Cavaria says, I'm just saying I saw something that was shot by a total amateur with a Panavision versus the same exact shot with a different camera, and the Panavision looked way more professional. Well, exact same thing with a different camera? Like what's your like a Bolex versus a Panavision? Like no, I mean, like yeah, 16 millimeter versus Panavision, of course it's gonna look different, but it's not the Panavision that makes it cinematic. Yeah. All right. I actually think most records in the category of shortest X aren't recognized because of the shortness trivializes it. Good point. Yeah. Would HDR make you want to go see a blockbuster type movie in the theater? No. Not necessarily. Because there you go. The shortest film to win an Oscar was minute 40 seconds, called Fresh Guacamole. Came out not that long ago, and it's actually really good. It's an animated short. It's an animated stop motion, but it's like clay, and they're making guacamole, but it's like dice. He's like pounding the dice. It's really good. Check it out. Yeah, it's really good. So anyhow, would HDR make you go to the movie? No, because I feel like the movie going experience. I don't think there's any technical quality that would make me want to go to the movie theater. Like I would never go to the movie theater just for a technical purpose. I would go to the movie theater because I feel the movie demands to be seen on a large screen. Like I bought myself a pretty large TV at home, but it's not as large as a movie theater screen. It just isn't, and the sound isn't as powerful as a movie theater sound. So the example I would give is Top Gun. Like, did I go see Top Gun in the movie theater because I wanted to hear 22.17 Dolby Atmos sound? No, because I don't even watch it in Dolby Atmos. Did I want to see? No, I saw Top Gun in the movie theater because that's the way to see that movie, because it's just an epic big movie. If you watch it at home, it's not quite as spectacular and awesome. And I feel like that's what. If Hollywood wants people coming back to movie theater, they got to make movies that can capture people's imagination like that. I mean, why did Top Gun do so well? If all these movies are, if apparently all you need to do to get people back in the seats is technology and make the splashes, then how come Top Gun obviously has some great cinematography, great effects, and great camera work, and just killer everything. Right? It's there, but that's not what was sold on it. It was sold on the fact that it was a fun ride. It was just a fun movie, So I think that's the deal. That's how you get butts back in the seats. It's not necessarily through technology and being a tech demo. It's that it's new. I worry that cinema will increasingly become like opera, stagnant and stuck in the past. I don't know. Like I don't think, but. Well, let's put it this way. Did opera... I think opera is more of a very specific, stylized type of genre of movie. So it'd be more like, I think opera is itself not necessarily a medium. Like opera is a form. So like opera would be closer to like say uh, maybe the musical. You could say the musical and opera are closer together because it's a type of live musical performance with singing. Like opera became Broadway. Broadway maybe as and then Broadway has morphed and evolved as well through the time. But yeah, I think there I don't I'm not worried about being stale because I think more about I think there's more to be said about it. I think there's more to explore. And I don't mind stories going back and saying and redoing things. I saw Top Gun in a Screen X theater. It was like almost 180 degrees for certain scenes. Yeah, I don't like Screen X honestly. It's all that stuff. I just don't care for it. Rick H says Hollywood is creatively bankrupt. What was the last big movie that wasn't a sequel? I'm trying to think. Like Top Gun isn't really a sequel, but it is a sequel. So let's not count that. I mean the stuff I like. I think the biggest original stuff is going to be stuff that is not necessarily big ass Hollywood. I'm trying to think what is a big that is an original storyline. Hmm. I'll be honest. I'm like I still think my favorite movie is gonna of 2022 still is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like I absolutely still love that movie, but I wouldn't call that Hollywood because it isn't necessarily studio fare. It's more indie, but it is and Bullets mentions it. Yeah, it is great, but it's not Hollywood studio. But maybe that's just the reality. Is like we have to get used to comfortable with the fact that Hollywood studio movies are going to be nothing but rehashes and remakes and just kind of rebrands of other stuff. Honestly, I'll be frank. That's why I Disney Plus said, "Hey, your Disney Plus membership is about to expire." I'm like, "Oh shoot, I still have that. Let me cancel that." Because after She-Hulk, I'm like, you know what, I'm done. There's nothing I want to watch on Disney. So, and right now I'm watching a lot of HBO. I watch HBO and maybe some Amazon, and I watch a lot of YouTube. I have YouTube Red because YouTube Red gets rid of all the ads except for the ad reads. Can't get rid of those, so I always skip ahead on those. But yeah, ads are YouTube Red, and my viewing habits are YouTube, Amazon, and HBO. And I found myself not opening Disney Plus at all. And I was like, why am I spending $74 when I can just put that toward a new piece of equipment that I probably buy and probably put on the shelf and never use again. Use it once. Yeah, movies are now short form storytelling. TV is too good. That's a good point. Maybe the TV has kind of replaced the movies in a little bit. But then again, we are going toward Oscar season. Although I feel like Oscars have now completely fallen to the point of irrelevancy, unless Will Smith starts smacking around like Ricky Gervais or something like that for the next Oscars. No one will care. They should just have an Oscar boxing, situation where just get the stars up there and just punching each other. That's really what they should do. I mean, but if this is the '90s, Top Gun Part 2 might actually have a chance to be an Oscar, but it's not going to get an Oscar for anything besides a technical award. Yeah, so people aren't watching the Oscars. But the thing is, like, used to be that all the good movies and all the Hollywood movies that they'd try to push on Oscars, they'd always release them around Christmas time because they always try to get them in at the very end of the year. So Oscar season, like when movies, this time of the year was the best season if you were interested in like more interesting movies and good stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get anything of that. Someone posted the viewership numbers over the years of Oscars viewership. Yeah, I bet you they were not good. They were not good at all. Because the reality is they've painted themselves in a corner. They can't when was the last like big hit movie that won Best Picture? It was got to be like Lord of the Rings, like the final one, the final Return of the King. I think that was the last movie that was popular that actually won an Oscar. Like everything else has been kind of, and look, there was good movies. Like 1917 was a good movie. again, there was an example of an original movie that wasn't necessarily based on a story. Like there are some good movies that come out, but they're also surrounded with a lot of just, and I don't want to drag politics into it, but a lot of very one-sided political stuff. This way heavy political stuff, and people, like, the fact of the matter is, man, no matter which side of politics you land on, politics right now is kind of ugly and becoming sort of all-encompassing, and people don't want to be constantly surrounded. There's obviously a group of people that want to have that reaffirmed, but if you're on the other side of that group, you don't want to see that movie, even if you maybe totally get, you know, maybe if you totally, let's see, if you're totally on the woke side, sure, you're going to see a woke movie and you're like, hey, that's great, it's normal. But if you got some reservations, you're going to start rolling your eyes. Yeah, original. There you go. Tenet was another one. Parasite. There you go. Parasite's not really Hollywood though. It's obviously, you know, foreign film, but I would say Tenet was original. I wasn't crazy about Tenet. I wasn't crazy about that or the one he did before that. What was it? But they're both good. Yeah, half the country I think it's more than half the country. I feel like a large, I don't know. So that's the thing too. I feel like, no, I guess now we get a little more political here, but I feel like half the country is turned off by a lot of the stuff. And then there's a chunk of the country, the other half isn't necessarily all on board, is maybe they're not paying attention to it, or they'll just kind of like wave it by. So I feel like that's the issue. Oh, Oppenheimer. Yeah, Oppenheimer by Chris Nolan would be good. Chris Nolan's another one of those filmmakers like, well, you know, you're interested in seeing what he does. Are you saying that Oscar award-winning film Suicide Squad isn't good? Can we please make it so that Morbius wins like an Oscar this year? Can we just please, dear God, if Morbius wins an Oscar, I don't know what I'll do, but I'm too late. I'll shave my head. I'll shave my eyebrows. If Morbius, please let Morbius win an Oscar. I would be so happy if Morbius wins an Oscar. If Morbius wins an Oscar, I would love that so hard. Streaming has completely decimated the industry as well. I feel like, yeah, it has a little bit. Because I do watch a lot of my movies on streaming. Yeah, Tenet was an exhausting watch. Turned out much of Jonathan Nolan's is true writing a genius. And it turns out Jonathan Nolan was the true writing genius. Yeah, I think Jonathan Nolan's... but man, oh man, what happened to Westworld? Holy crap. What a freaking nosedive. Did Jonathan Nolan bail on that Westworld? Is that why it got so bad? Because I liked the first episode. I have a problem with any show or movie that deals with AI because I feel like it never takes it far enough. Like I feel every movie about AI, and the closest one that I think the one that came closest to really touching on the true either horror or nature or the intricacies of AI was Ex Machina. Ex Machina was the closest you got to a really good AI movie. Everyone else falls short. Like they just don't take it to they treat AI as like a 10th grade writing assignment rather than Ex Machina, well, at least was a collegiate course study of AI. It wasn't the best in the world. I think it can go a little further, but I feel like everything else is like a 9th grade, 10th grade. Oh, I just read George Orwell and I just discovered, you know, dystopian ideas, and I'm just going to put my ideas out there. I feel like that's a problem with all AI shows. Westworld, to me, was that level. It didn't take it far enough. It didn't take it where I think AI stories can go. I think Blade Runner is probably closer to that collegiate level AI stories, right? But yeah, Westworld was just... and it's also a little bit too much mystery box, in there. But then I started watching season 2, and holy moly, I could not get through one episode. It was so dull. And then I see it just got canceled for, yeah. So, Morbius is the only movie to flop twice until it becomes an Oscar-winning movie. I so want Morbius to win an Oscar. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. We need more studios like A24. Absolutely. I love A24. For whatever whatever goofy stuff they do or what they don't do, at least they're trying. The problem is that there can only be like one A24. If there's too many of them, then they can't make money. So the good thing about A24 is that they're the home for offbeat movies, So yeah, Westworld was only season 1 was worth watching. The rest was crap. That's what I got the impression. You think that Jonathan Nolan bailed after 13 episodes? Yeah, that's probably what it was. John Rando says, completely agree with my lackluster AI movies. I think. Yep, and Rick says, yeah, they treat AI as a plot device to push stories forward. Yeah, so the thing with I have a deep cynicism in that I believe, like, part of me wants to make movies that kind of make you flip and think about the world completely differently, right? I like to make movies that are like, I would like to make a movie that would make people think, wow, I didn't realize that I was the bad guy. I like one of my favorite sketches of all time was that Mitchell and Webb look video where, are we the baddies? Because I feel like I feel like there's too much patting yourself on the back. And I mean that for all kinds of media. I would like, I'm not saying I will make this movie because I don't think I have it in me to necessarily get it done. But I would love to make a movie where people like walk out of the theater like, oh crap. Like all that I thought was right, I need to like step back and think about what I'm doing. And maybe it's not the best. Maybe what I believe is not correct. Because I think about that all the time. And I'm not and I'm being political about that in the sense that I do think about it from a political standpoint. I question my politics all the time. I constantly say, am I missing something here? Is my view of the world, is there another view of the world that I have? So, an example is when I hated She-Hulk so much. The flames were up my face when I watched She-Hulk. I started off thinking, I'll give this a chance. All people are ragging on it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to give it a chance. I defended it on this stream, in this chair. I said, perhaps She-Hulk is just going to be humiliated in the future, and the fall before the rise, flames. I hated that show so hard. Then I purposely went to look for positive reviews because I wanted to see, what am I missing? What am I missing? And I wish I could make a movie that would get people to think that, because I feel like our society, since I don't know when to put this. I'll put it this way. When Jon Stewart became the number one source of news in America for people, that's when society fell apart, because it no longer was willing to take a serious and nuanced look at the news. It became a joke. All of it became a joke. If I could make a movie that could say, hey, this is not, think about this some more. Think about this some more and look at it from a different perspective. But I know that movie doesn't exist, so enough of that. It's not going to happen because no one will want to watch that movie. And that's what tie this back into the AI talk I was talking about. That's where I think the AI story can go. Because I think the AI story subverts, not to use the terrible term, subverts all your expectations. Subverts everything and reveals the ugliness of humanity in a way that we have not yet to accept. Blade Runner came close. I think Blade Runner maybe is the closer, even the follow-up Blade Runner 2024. Again, similar in that it's also, wasn't Ex Machina also? No, Denis Villeneuve didn't make Ex Machina. I forget who made it, but I was trying to draw a connection, but it's not there. But anyhow, I feel like with the AI story, there is something there that you can reach toward that is it has. We just treat AI as sort of a joke. It's kind of like the old joke of oh, I'm gonna buy futures and pumpkins right before Halloween and watch my money grow. Well, yeah, everybody does that. That's not how futures work. The rising price of pumpkins during Halloween is already built into the futures market. You're not going to be able to jump in the futures. Thank you. Alex Garland did Ex Machina. For some reason, I was trying to, but I think Denis Villeneuve does tend to touch that. The movie I was thinking of is Arrival. Like Arrival also has kind of it's a better approach, although the problem with Arrival is it's based on really bad science. The guy that wrote the book kind of based it on what they call there's a theory about how the words you use affect how you think. I forget the name of that. It's Whorf hypothesis, Waldorf hypothesis, something like that. And if you follow John McWhorter, who's a linguist, he has so much content about how that Whorf hypothesis is just bunk. Like the whole concept of, the Eskimos have 26 words for snow, and we don't, and the Americans don't. Therefore, Eskimos, well, yeah, they have 26, but Americans don't pretend like we don't have 26 different words for snow as well. We have snow, sleet, slushy snow. We can combine words together to just to describe the kind of snow that they may have only one word for, but we have, like slushy snow is different than just hard packed snow, which is different than powder. So we have those words too, but there may not be just a single word. So the whole Whorf hypothesis, yellow snow, thank you, Arseny. Yellow snow is an example, but don't think just because they have like 26 different words for snow that they somehow understand snow better than any. That's it's almost like a racist thought, really, if you boil it right down to it. Just because the language doesn't have the character doesn't mean it doesn't have function, right? So that's the problem with that. That movie Arrival is based entirely on this concept. This I gotta look at it. What is this Whorf hypothesis? I gotta look this up. Hypothesis. Let's see. Here it is. Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. And it's very common. However, it's been seriously debunked, and yet it still persists because the sounds clever. Oh, they've got 17 words for blue, therefore that culture values blue. Well, we have 17 variations of blue. We have seagrass, and everyone has those things. Doesn't mean there are certain things that maybe perhaps perceptually it can. There are tiny edge cases where, yes, some languages kind of tend to favor a certain kind of thing. True, it happens. But from a macro standpoint, it's not real. It's not real. Anyhow, back to your comments. Any movie that really makes you think gets bad reviews and bombs at the box office. Usually they become cult favorites later. People want to be challenged. They want confirmation of their existing bias. 100% absolutely agree. Yep. It's true. It's true. And I'm not kidding. I probably would, if I had something that made me question all the stuff that I believed, I probably wouldn't like it either. And I'm kind of open to that too, but I probably wouldn't like it. Watched X from A24 recently. Got a very 70s look in tone and style. Reminded me of the Hills Have Eyes vibe. Not much of plot other than the group of making adult film. I don't think I watched that one. No, if it's X, no. I watched the other one. Sliver or something? I don't remember. I've been putting on movies for my mom to watch. Like, she likes horror movies because she doesn't understand English very well. So. Also, Eskimo and Aleut is a group of several different languages. Inflates that number. Probably, yeah. So the other day I got kind of pissed off on Facebook, which I shouldn't, what's new, John? It's Facebook. Why? It's the place where people go to get pissed off. So somebody was saying, did you know that a horse can actually produce 15 horsepower? Like, a horse isn't even a horsepower. And that got me wondering, really? A horse isn't a horsepower? I mean, it makes sense. A horse should be 1 horsepower, right? And it's true. A horse can put out a maximum of about 15 horsepower. But that's not where the term horsepower came from, because you have to dig through a little bit deeper. But people on Facebook, because they're effing morons, and they're just like, oh, I didn't know a horse can put out more than one horse. Well, everything I knew about science is wrong. I thought a horse is no, a horsepower is the output of work from one horse in a normal environment in a given set of time. The whole point that Eli Whitney, when he was designing his steam engine, he was trying to compare it to the amount of work that a draft horse would put out by average for a given time. That was the point. You can make a horse put out more than one horsepower, absolutely, but it's the average draft horse in a certain amount of time. I don't know the exact numbers and all that stuff. But yes, it is. Horsepower is based on a single horse. But yes, you can get a horse to put out more than one horsepower. But, because the internet is, what do you expect? Because people just sit around on their phones, just reading through it, and it's just these soccer moms. I didn't know that, and they remember that, and then they go ahead and spread out that misinformation. I hate that. I'm sorry. Get me upset about horsepower. That's why I think movies are social experiments nowadays. They are trying to gain everyone's approval, perhaps. Or maybe it's also virtue signal, too. The last film I saw in theaters was Pearl, the prequel to X, such a brilliant and refreshing horror thriller. I could see why Martin Scorsese raved about it so much. Mia Goth is unbelievably gifted. I think I might have saw a thing for that I was kind of interested in, a trailer for that. Right, fella, I'm going to sign off. Peace. All right, take care, man. See ya, bullet. Anyhow, what time is it? 5:30? I should probably get off soon. Well, I'll go to 5:45. That way I'll do a full 2 hours on this one. Chase says, the next film I want to see in the theaters is The Banshees of Inisherin. I hope my Megaplex is cool enough to actually screen it, though. I don't know. It depends on where you live. Yeah. The Banshees of Inisherin. I'm not sure. I never heard of that one. What is that from? The trailer for Pearl made you laugh out loud? I think. Or something else. I think the trailer for Pearl, or I don't know. I don't know what movie it was. Anyhow. Oh. I'm bending my neck in a funny way, so it's making me like crack my neck here. All right, what else is up here? Trailer for Banshees. Oh, okay. Now I gotta kind of see this. Irish drama. Saved my ticket money. I take my money for all the smaller original films. Let's see. Let's take a look at it real quick. I probably can't put it up here, but let's see. Irish is the Banshees. Here it is. Inisherin. Drama comedy. Oh, it's actually playing in my theater. It's actually playing in the Regal. Maybe I should go see this movie. More theaters. Let's see here. I gotta go Regal I gotta drive a ways to get my free tickets. Otherwise I have to pay for it. Dang it. I'm gonna Corona. Damn, why can't they show it in the theater I actually have my local Regal that I can go. I still have my Regal plan with them. I get to see like 3 movies a month for free, but they don't have it there. Damn it! Just should cancel that. I don't get to the movies enough to make it worthwhile. It sucks. Anyhow. Let me get my screen here. Sorry about that. There we go. When weren't movies trying to target specific audiences? You couldn't play a film in the South with lots of places with black leads for a long time, so white characters dominated, patriotic films, etc. When weren't movies trying to target specific audiences? I think the history of movies, they're always, part of it also too is when you have a larger share of the entertainment space, you can put anything you want, and the goal is to go for like the biggest return, right? So maybe like in the 1910s, you could literally just put out anything you wanted. I mean, it wasn't trying to target specific audiences. It was just a general audience because what other options did you have? You know, you don't have a lot of options now. You know, obviously as movies became more specific in television, birth of television, you have exploitation movies rising up as kind of to fight off as an alternative. You know, I don't know. But you couldn't play a movie with a black lead for a long time. Yeah, and I think a lot of that too. You know, to kind of piggy off of that, there was a time too where you had some Asian film stars. I did a podcast a long time ago, and it's not up anymore because it was an older time. But there's a guy that he ended up playing the character from what's the Bridge on the River Kwai. Let me look it up real quick. On the River Kwai. And his name was Sessu Hayakawa. Sessu Hayakawa. Sessu Hayakawa. He was actually a very, very, very famous silent film star, like a sex symbol. He was a Japanese guy. And it was amazing to see his, you know, how 1910s, 20s audiences embraced a Japanese guy as a sex symbol. And this is also before Rudolph Valentino, and that was, you know, so he wasn't purely white bread kind of person. But you know, as film censorship kind of grew, and there's an ugly history with film censorship, and a lot of this film censorship was to shut down a lot of stuff. Yeah. Anyhow, so I don't know. I don't know when movies weren't trying to target specific audiences. Again, I think it had to do more with the options available to people. I'm almost ready to make a feature film. The only thing stopping me is $50,000. Same here. What I need the money for would be basically, I feel like there are certain things that you would do on a feature film that you can't do necessarily on a short-term budget, like paying people to be involved with a long production. I feel like, you know, doing a short film is great because you can always ask somebody to afford a weekend or two to shoot a short film. Like, that's not a big commitment. But if you wanted to make a feature film, it's like a commitment of a month. And if you were to shoot on weekends, if you shoot around people's work schedules and stuff like that, it could take like 2 months. So asking them to do a feature film that would take, you know, I mean, you might be lucky and we'll pull it off in like 3 weeks or something like that, 3 weekends, 4 weekends maybe. But it's just a matter, like, that kind of time, you almost feel like you need to compensate people for that. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just saying that's the problem I have. Anyhow. Yeah, locations and crew, that's the problem too. Locations are going to be, consistent locations are kind of the issue. Again, that's the issue is with the feature. That's the feature is the problem because of the longer production time. You can make it short. Make it short on this stuff really easily. But a feature is, if you want to do it in the quality way, unless you just want to run and gun a feature, which people can do too, but a feature is tough to do on a shoestring budget. It just is. Yeah. Chase says, Alec Guinness is an underrated comedic genius and a screenwriter. He wrote a couple of scripts too when he acted in the horse's mouth. Yeah, Alec Guinness is definitely, I feel like, underrated because all he's known for is Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a shame. All right, let's see here. You guys are all trying to get this guy Daniel to make his movie for $50,000. I mean, $50,000. I'll be honest. That's for a feature-length movie. That's not expensive. That's very cheap. That is literally no budget. And we're talking about trying to make it in terms of a semi-professional level here. You know, I'm trying to think. Like, even if I were to shoot a feature-length movie, I think I could probably pull it off for $50,000. Now, if I were to just like hire me out and I would have to do literally everything, Maybe get my buddies to help me do it. Could I make it for less? Probably. I'd probably make it for like 15 grand. Depending on the feature. And depending on what exactly I want in the feature. But then if you were to make something that what the brothers called, dang it, like a mumblecore movie, you might be able to pull it off for less. A mumblecore movie, you may be able to. I mean, if the subject matter was people in their homes talking about relationships, okay, you could probably pull that off for $500 for food, maybe. And if you know the actors get paid, and then you're just using my equipment, the amount of equipment that I've accumulated over the years, I could probably pull it off for $1,000. Mumblecore movie, only people's houses, people sitting around talking. I could probably pull it off for $1,000. I think I could do that. But yeah, if you wanted to step out on anywhere in public, if you wanted to get locations permits, if you want to organize like actors who give actors a little bit of money because gas is not free, stuff like that. Yeah, it does get crazy. I mean, and Daniel did say the costs of films are crazy. No budget starts around $10,000. Yeah, 50,000 is where low. I don't even know 50,000. It depends exactly on where. Like $50,000 for a sci-fi movie is not going to happen. Like sci-fi movie would never. 50,000 would be laughed out of your. But low budget movie, $50,000. Trying to think. I mean, basically, if I were to do a movie if I had $50,000, all of my money would be going to basically actors and crew, like all of it, and that would be just like getting good deals on people. I mean, even a makeup artist costs like $300 or $400 a day, and makeup artist is kind of necessary because actors can't do makeup that well. If you had $50,000, you would spend it on a makeup makeup. Yeah, it's true. Daniel says a good story is just one piece of the film pie. He's not wrong, guys. He's not wrong. Like you can have a great story, but if it's not doesn't sound good, right? Sound is important. You got to have your sound right. Now after that, I'm sorry, but no one really wants to watch a really bad, like dumpy looking movie in 2022. Like there's no reason why you can't shoot a really good looking movie, but just because it's a good, let's put it this way, it'd be very hard to stick through a movie that didn't look professional, didn't look decent for a whole 90 minutes, even if it was a good story. Like you wouldn't be able to tell because you've wasted 90 minutes of your life. You could have spent that watching 90, TikTok videos. But watch 8 Steps. Shout out to Daniel's 8 Steps movie. Maybe the last 4. Anything older than that is pew. Yeah, tell me. I know that feeling. Although I will give yourself a little bit of credit. Like first of all, the technology has moved so fast now. It's so much easier to get a good image these days. But beyond that too, your movies are probably not as bad as you remember them. I know mine aren't. I remember them pretty badly, but if I were to look at them, I will probably say that mine are pretty bad. And Rick says he'll watch them. So look up 8 Steps movie. Yeah. I'm not saying, and there are people out there that I know some people that made features over a weekend. Are they watchable? Should we let that silence just be the answer? Or it could be like Joss Whedon, just invite all your famous friends over your house and remake Midsummer Night's Dream, something like that. Oh my goodness, it is 5:44. Chase says, befriend gullible rich people, take their interest in your projects, find Charles Bloodhorn or Alan Ladd Jr. in your life, and build a good rapport. The old joke was find some dentists, befriend some dentists. They have money and they want to invest. Dentists are the ones that get some dentists to help fund your movie. Although, I'll be honest, I think my dentist is probably hurting for money because their office hours keeps getting shorter and shorter and they never answer the phones. So I don't know, dentists. I don't know if they have any money left. Not in this economy. Everyone's hurting. Befriend some bureaucrats. There you go. That's how you do it. Insurance salesmen. All right, guys. I think I gotta get going here. I am getting tired and it is getting dark. My eyes are starting to go. So it is 5:45. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll do another stream next week. I'll try to get some more videos done, and we'll get back to working on Filmmaker IQ videos. Dang nabbit. Been meaning to, but I gotta get some other stuff done today. I think I'm done cleaning for today. I'm gonna go home. My mom's caretaker will be going leaving pretty soon, so I'll go home now and take care of some business, and then work on my class stuff for Thursday. Cause I gotta do that stuff. I got work too. All right, guys. Well, we will see you. That's a horrible way to end the stream. Just trail off into a laundry list of things you need to do. I should pick up some extra bread too. I'm running low on bread. All right, guys. We will see you later. Thanks for hanging out with me and chatting. And next week we'll start our road to the holidays. See you later, guys. Take care. Bye.